From the Horror Vision Press, Sean C. Baker's Shadowplay Book 1, Kim and Jesse. If our reflections woke up, would they hate us? Would they envy our world? Would they try to take it? Two worlds on a collision course, and 15-year-old Jesse Roberts is caught in the middle. Shadowplay Book 1, Kim and Jesse is available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or wherever books are sold. Also available, a collection of desires, 7 tales of modern horror. These 7 tales bring the horror home to our modern world.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the Horror Vision Horror Podcast. I'm Shawn.
I'm Tori.
I'm Ray.
And I am Dark Lord Anthony.
And it was funny watching the Zoom squares light up as you guys spoke because it reminded me of the Brady Bunch beginning in a way. So we actually just finished a rousing 16-hour campaign of Dungeons and Affleck, which this is a homebrewed RPG that we created. The 4 of us chipped in and put our minds together, and I'll be making a rule book and a bestiary and a 24-sided die that you guys can buy at the horrorvision.com pretty soon. And
special edition comes with a limited edition cloak.
Exactly. So you can actually get into you can get into the role. There's a Casey Affleck mask that we're gonna manufacture. I need to get the mold back from him still though. He won't return my emails. Imagine that. So I just drove it to his house and left it like creepily, like right outside the front door with a note that said, "I need your face." So interesting.
Bonus points if you get a dragon tattoo actually on your back.
He's like, "Oh, Harvey Weinstein left me another note."
Oh my God. So guys, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. I would actually like to start. So Anthony just turned off, he just finished Ben Wheatley's Kill List. And I'm just curious. So Anthony, give us so wait, Ray, you have not seen Kill List.
Oh,
Tori, have you seen Kill List?
No, but you could do spoilers. It doesn't.
No, don't. I don't want to spoil it because I wouldn't want to spoil it for listeners. I mean, or for you guys. But but Anthony, give us what'd you think?
Holy shit! Not what I was expecting.
Right.
I mean, I always assumed that obviously with the title like that, it was going to be about hitmen, which was something that was, there was an overabundance of at the time, like when it was released.
Yeah.
I remember seeing this on shelves in Best Buy. I'm like, but I had a bunch of people telling me that was pretty fantastic. It's come up in recent reviews that I've read. And I'm like, okay, well, let me give it a go. Got a great deal on it, imported it, put it on today. This is a very ultra-violent film. Lots of graphic violence. I mean, like camera on, so you can see all the special effects goodies. I mean, there's some nasty shit in this film. And then it just takes a turn at the last 15 minutes.
Right.
I'm not going to talk about right now.
That's so why I wanted you to finish it, because I'm like, no, you haven't actually seen the movie yet. You have to see the whole, because it's like, wait, when did this happen? What's going on?
Yeah.
Are we talking about Requiem for a Dream?
No.
Type last 15 minutes,
there's no ass to ass or anything like that.
Yeah.
No.
It wasn't out for air.
Yeah.
No, it really, let's put it this way. I have a list of movies on Letterboxd. It's like a subgenre that I consider. I call it British occult films, and it fits in with it. Even though from the first you don't really know that, I don't know. I've said too much. It's a very good flick.
Yeah, for people listening, I personally have a tendency to put on movies I'm really interested in right when I'm tired and about to fall asleep. So
I do the same thing.
I don't know. Kill List was one of them. So I've seen the first 15 minutes. I was very interested, and then I don't know what happened. But thank you guys for kind of upping this one for me so I could put it on.
It's worth seeing, and I don't know if it's abundantly cheap, but like Anthony said, so you imported, what'd you pay?
$5.
And then he sent me a link today. I got one for $5. I mean, it's British, so the region. I wouldn't have done this before I got the region free, but I mean, that's a dirt cheap Blu-ray.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
Yeah, I was looking at some prices earlier, and they were going for an upwards of like $30 for an American. But no, it like I said, it takes a turn, and I don't know why it takes a turn, and it just goes to this fucking bizarre place that is, I don't know, but it just with all the extra like additional gore and violence and etc. Like you can't not like this film. It's really
right.
really. Really fucking it's executed very well.
Nice choice of words.
Yeah. No, it's just I'm still processing it. Like I haven't fully been able to like decompress it. Like there's a lot going on.
Anthony's face is just shock and surprise right now.
Yeah, his eyes are wide.
So good.
Yeah.
It's so fucking good. Like definitely check it out.
The twist, or it's not really a twist, but where it goes, also that actually makes perfect sense when you go back and look at everything that happened before. It's like, oh, it looked more straightforward than it actually was on the surface, but it's all there all along. So it's not like, I don't want to give the listeners or you guys the impression that as we're talking about it, like, it just does this bizarre like 90-degree turn and makes no sense. It makes sense. It's just not. You just would not.
It's subtle. It's very subtle.
It takes you as the viewer on the exact fucking ride that it takes the main character, which is always impressive to me.
And it is horror. It's not like horror adjacent.
It's adjacent. I'm not going to say it's a film, no.
Okay.
But
no, not that doesn't matter to me. But I was
where it goes is pretty goddamn horrific.
Yeah, I would consider it horror. I heard Paul Tremblay say on another podcast a couple years ago, and I was like, oh my God, that's exactly it. It's almost like a Laird Barron short story. It mixes that kind of like the gruff, like masculine military commando. I mean, that's not exactly right, but it mixes kind of like warfare and occult and horror. I would consider it horror.
interesting. Okay. I like that genre of British occult horror though. That's
every film on that list I adore. It's like The Droving, that movie Outcast, by the same director that did The Girl with All the Gifts. I'm blanking on his name right now. Oh, Colm McCarthy. I'm trying to think of what else is A Field in England, which is another Ben Wheatley, and which honestly I have not made it all the way through yet. And nothing against the movie. It's I don't know, it's a little bit more challenging.
A movie like that, you have to be kind of mentally prepared for. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm going to pop that on." Or
yeah, definitely.
That's another one I just recently picked up for like $5. So I'm excited to sit down and see how that one plays out.
I still love the fucking original Wicker Man. Like that is such.
Oh yeah, that's in that list as well. Yeah.
Just rewatching that too. You're like, oh shit, this is a great fucking movie.
What? Not the remake with Nicolas Cage?
Not the remake. Oh, sorry. No, not the Beast.
That's among that movie. When I saw that movie, I realized at some point, oh, this is on purpose. They know what they're doing. Okay, and then it changed the whole thing. Because at first I was just like, is this for real? Like, what?
You really believe they were joking on that movie?
Yeah, I absolutely. The scene with him in the bear suit or whatever with the beat, like, there's no way that wasn't intentionally made. There's just no way. No way.
Ooh.
So So what else have you guys seen?
Not much on my end. I did watch The Woman by Lucky McGee, 2011.
Just hit Shudder.
Again, Tori loves to start movies when she's fucking tired and about to fall asleep. I've started this movie a couple times before. I get like 20 minutes in, I pass out. It's not the movie's fault. Again, it's me. So I finally watched it through, not only because I like Lucky McGee, but I'm a big Jack Ketchum fan. And I've read a lot of his books. This was great. It was amazing. It is hard to watch. It is not fun. Wonderful. Pollyanna McIntosh plays the role of the woman, and she's fucking brilliant. She spits and yells like a fucking feral animal. I can't explain it. She's amazing in it. So anyway, backstory, and for you, not anybody knows, if you don't know, The Woman is a sequel to a movie called Offspring. Pretty much what it is, it's in a nutshell, this feral family that's been around for 150, 200 years is attacking a family that's out camping or in a cabin. They want the baby. So it's a family attacking, and then it's the new family trying to fight back this feral family. The second one, The Woman, is about one of the characters. The woman is found by a family, and the father wants to, quote unquote, tame her, make her an acceptable society lady. And then it's just what happens once they capture her. Brilliant. I don't know. Have you guys seen, Anthony, you've seen it. Shawn, Ray, have you guys seen it?
I have. Anthony, have you seen, I've only seen The Woman. Anthony, have you seen both of those flicks?
Yeah, I've seen those, and I've seen the third film that Pollyanna directed as well.
That's what I was going to ask you. Have you seen Darlin? I want to see Darlin. It's been on my.
I think that one's streaming on Prime, if I'm not mistaken. Right. It's been a while since I've seen it, but yeah, sounds a little. It doesn't honestly compete. Yeah, it's decent. I mean, if you're a fan of the other films, you're going to enjoy this one, and it kind of wraps it up nicely. So yeah,
didn't give it a Pollyanna McIntosh direct the new? And what's the new one? Is the new one The Girl Next Door?
Darlin.
Oh, I'm sorry. We just said it. Sorry. Not to be confused with Mickey Keating's Darling, which is also, I think, on Prime as well.
And I think they spell it the same way too. The LIN. And you don't have to watch the first movie to get at all what's going on in the second.
No, you don't.
Enjoy it. You really don't. I honestly haven't even seen all of Offspring. I read Off Season by Jack Ketchum, which is based off that. You can watch the second one and go along right along with it. Enjoy it. It's fucking brutal. I'm not gonna lie. If you have any kind of, if you're triggered at all by seeing women being beat up or abused badly, then I don't recommend it. But I love Lucky McGee. He's done a lot of great things, and this was up there.
There was a prequel before that. It was called Nell. Nobody got that? Just Ray? No? No?
Hey,
okay, good. Yeah, there we go. There we go. We got some Nell fans here. Good.
Foster forever. Fuck you guys.
So what is one of the Jack Ketchum? So these are all based on Jack Ketchum novels. And in fact, Lucky McGee and Jack Ketchum, Jack Ketchum died, I want to say 2014, but I might be wrong. But they did a book together at some point too after The Woman. So they really must have forged like a good working relationship.
I think The Woman, Ketchum wrote Off Season, and he wrote, I want to say he wrote another one that had to deal with that kind of family, that feral family.
What is The Girl Next Door? That's one of them, isn't it? The
Girl Next Door is based off a true crime thing, and let's not get started.
Okay.
Oh man, that is fucking intense.
That movie left me fucked up for a long time. Like that was one of the first movies I'd ever seen where it's like you can't wash it off, and it just just fucked me up for like days. Like,
and then you realize it was based on a true story.
Yeah.
It's pretty accurate too, because I was looking at the actual case. Yeah, that's pretty scary. But I think Ketchum and McGee wrote The Woman together. I don't think it was a book it wasn't a book he did necessarily, but they did put it out. And then Ketchum has a writing credit too for The Woman.
There's a book called The Secret Life of Souls, and it's Ketchum and McKee. I always say McGee and it's McKee. I don't know why I can't. I can never remember it. I always still use the G sound instead of the K sound, but whatever. So I mean, they work together a lot, and I've never read Ketchum. I know there's a great quote by Stephen King about Ketchum where it's like, quote, "Who's the scariest man who's the scariest writer in the world," or something like that. I think that's it. Who's the scariest writer in the world? Probably Jack Ketchum. Like, it's just a cool Stephen King quote. I love when he gives props to people because it's very cool.
I like that Stephen King is just a big fan in general.
Yeah, I love that. I love that about him. You know, when The Woman came out, I remember being very afraid of it because I don't remember if we've talked about this at all, but whatever year that was, I want to say 2008. It played at, I think it was Sundance, I believe. And there was footage put up in an article that went around through Variety and all those papers, and even filtered into like BuzzFeed and Yahoo and all that shit. And it was this older man, this like middle-aged man, freaked the fuck out during the screening, and they had to like get him out of the theater. And somebody recorded it, and the footage went viral, and it's just him. "This is insane. This is garbage. This is everything that's wrong with the world. This filmmaker should be killed, blah, blah, blah." I don't know if he said killed, but fired or imprisoned. But it was watching this, I'm like, Jesus Christ. And I saw the movie, and it was maybe because I expected it to be like so bad. I didn't feel like it triggered me really at all, and I'm pretty sensitive to that stuff. So,
well, Shawn, we're all four weirdos that have seen, what on a daily, but watch what?
Yeah, but that's usually outside my range. It's like anything where I'm like, oh wait, is this going to be like a weird like misogynistic torture? Which it's not, by the way. I mean, it is, but it's not. The movie is not glorifying it in any way. It's, if anything, it's showing you that like, oh, the feral woman is actually like the civilized people are actually less civilized and more feral than the fucking feral woman.
Yeah. And it's just showing a man that is so deeply self-emasculated.
Yeah.
What he will do to reclaim his masculinity, and like the how far he'll go to prove himself, and at the detriment to him and his own family.
Yeah, definitely.
I fucking enjoyed it and immediately too, when they started like a lot of the harder scenes, I thought of Shawn. I was like, oh man, this guy's not going to watch this movie. Cause it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, honestly, if it hadn't been Lucky McKee, I probably would not have watched it, but I love him so much that I was like, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I thought it was very tasteful. And I mean, it's very graphic, and it is supposed to be putting these things in your face for a reason, but it wasn't like, something that I felt like I had to take a shower necessarily. It definitely left me thinking, and I don't know. I definitely would recommend it. Ray, I think you will definitely like it. I think it's an excellent
It's
piece
on
of
my
cinema.
list. I just wasn't sure if I had to see the other ones to really get it.
Not at all.
No, not at all.
It's a standalone? Okay, cool. I'll check it out. I saw that it hit Shudder, and I was like, I want to see that. Just haven't had that opportunity yet.
Yeah, you definitely don't have to watch the first one. But thank you, Ketchum, RIP, for always writing about very taboo things that still make people very uncomfortable. So bless you.
Yeah, definitely. He was definitely that was his bag, right? So
Oh yeah. Good for him.
Yeah, definitely. He left his mark for sure. I'm looking at a picture of him online right now, and he actually kind of looks like Willem Dafoe. I didn't realize that.
He looks like your cute older uncle that was smoking weed when you were underage, and you were like, "Man, when I turn 18, I'm smoking with Uncle Jack."
That's hysterical.
Behind the shed. Oh, maybe not behind the shed.
Ray, what have you seen?
I saw The Ranger on Shudder, and I had been trying to watch it, but every time I kept trying to watch it, it kept not loading for like the last few months. I don't know what the deal was, but I finally got it to where I was able to play, and I liked it quite a bit. I don't know if you've seen it. It's definitely a slasher movie. The setup is this girl was okay, at the very beginning you see this girl with this the forest ranger. The police show up, and it cuts to her as like a teenager. She's probably like 16, 17 years old, if I remember from the movie. And she's very into like the punk rock like lifestyle. Like she goes to concerts and just randomly meets people. And her and her friends are at a club, and the police come in and raid it, and her boyfriend ends up taking a cop's gun and beating him. And so they all, like, her and her friends all pile into a van that they actually got from this girl they met at the club who like randomly was on drugs. So she falls asleep in the back seat, and they need to find some place to hide out. And she goes, "Oh, I own a cabin in the woods. We should go out to the cabin." And
which, by the way, anybody that ever says that, you just say, no. You lost me a cabin in the woods. We'll go somewhere else.
Bye.
So they go out to the cabin, and one of the first people they run into is this ranger who she was with at the very beginning of the movie when she was a child. And she definitely remembers him, but he doesn't remember her. He doesn't recognize her at first. And he's just very intense and like is ready to bust them for anything. Like, if their music's up too loud, he's going to bother them. If they leave a piece of trash, he's going to tell them about, the trash. If he, just from the look of their van, like it's got all this like spray painted stuff all over it. He's like, that's not pretty eye catching. And they're like, don't worry about it. We're just going to park it. We're going to go up to the cabin. And he snaps and starts going after them. And it's pretty entertaining. And there's a cameo from I'm totally blanking on his name right now. Shit. The director of Wendigo and
Fessenden.
Fessenden, yeah. There's a cameo from Fessenden in the film.
That's all you have to tell me, and I'll see the movie for sure.
It's worth checking out. And it's got like, it's definitely infused with this like slight punk rock sensibility to it.
The lighting is really cool in it. I really liked that.
Yeah.
Shout out to the band Rotten UK for their little cameo in it, because they're awesome. They're the band playing at the club.
Oh.
I liked that movie, and then I don't remember quite, but I felt like it was a tad anticlimactic for me. I
remember you talked about it. So you talked about it right after it hit Shudder, like probably 2 years ago, maybe, or a year and a half ago. And I remember you had some issues with it.
I did like it. Well, I was pumped for that movie. I was really excited, and I enjoyed it. But yeah, there was something about it that I don't know. It didn't win me completely over.
So I'm going to do one, but so Anthony and I both watched this recently. I watched it last night. He's the one that recommended it to me. So let's. I don't mean for this to take the place of your turn. It won't, but I want to talk back and forth to you about this without spoiling anything for anybody else. But you recommended to me recently a movie called Spell from late last year, and you watched it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, about there. Yeah.
And what did you think?
It's fucking sensational. You and I both listened to a podcast, Beyond the Void horror podcast with Alex and Christina.
Yeah,
and it was
both. Those guys are great.
Yeah, it definitely. And they had that film, both of them actually, in their top 5. I'd never even heard of it. And I was like, well, okay, if it's, you know, getting such high praise, I really probably should pay attention and see what we're missing out on. Holy shit, this movie's fucking intense. Like, it's so good. And I mean, I didn't really know much of what it would be about. I mean, it does have I checked out a trailer. There's some voodoo vibes, and then I got the film, and there's a whole lot more. It's very well acted. It's gory. It's fucking
yeah.
What do you want me to talk about specifically? I mean, I can't praise the movie enough. It's so good.
I just wanted to hear you talk, because I don't think we actually really talked about it. You sent me a text and said you were going to watch it, and then I think I asked you how it was in a text, and I think in a text you told me, you know, it was great or whatever. So I watched it last night, and for some reason, the opening scene, I was a little worried, but I'm like, well, Anthony wouldn't give me a bump steer, so I'm not really that worried. But there was I felt like the opening scene, there was maybe, I perceived perhaps erroneously that there was like a little bit of a clunkiness to like the dialogue or something. I don't remember what it was. All of that was washed away very quickly. I really I loved it. It probably would have been in my top 5 at least of last year had I seen it last year.
Easily.
I wake up early, so Friday nights a lot of times are very anticlimactic for me, where I try to watch a movie and I just can't keep my eyes open or whatever. And last night, we even started we always start about 7:00, and so we got dinner. So I ate, which will also often work against me as far as, you know, it makes me sleepy or whatever. We watched first a 40-minute episode of WandaVision, obviously not the purview of this, but so already I'm like subtracting time from my, like, I'll be awake for this long. That movie, not only was I unaware of the passage of time for the entire duration of the movie, but it lit me up so much that I went and watched a 2.5-hour movie after that as well. Like it just supercharged my Friday night. I fucking loved it. It is the first movie in I would say 20 years, but probably longer, that I actually almost, like, I started to get a gag reflex from a certain scene. Like I couldn't, I was like, oh my God. And it's not like some terrible, like, American guinea pig stuff or anything. Like, it's not like that. It is just a very awesome practical effect that knows exactly, like, it's just, oh man, I want to say surgically done, but that almost works against what it actually is. I really liked it. And I would just recommend to everybody, don't even fucking read anything about it. Do not watch a trailer, because I didn't know where the fuck it was going the whole time. And so it definitely, like, you get like a voodoo vibe, and that's actually it's not even really that. It's kind of, but not really. It's something else. And it just, man, I really, really liked it a lot. I recommend it to everybody.
That and like Psycho Gorman. Fuck, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
I know you watched it with my sister.
Oh yeah, we did we did a Psycho Gorman on the just so there's context for listeners, like the old movie night group, which Tori's sister Maddie, who will one day be on the show, is part of. I guess this podcast kind of grew out of that group. And we have one of the guys set up a Discord server, which I had no idea what that was, but we actually did like a watch along. It was the first movie night we've had since COVID started. You know, we're all just at home, but we watched it through Discord, and it was cool. Although I learned I wouldn't do that for a first time viewing again. I would like watch it first without, like by myself or like with Kirsten, and then watch it with a group, just because there were volume issues and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a cool way to watch a movie.
I'm so mad because I told her about Psycho Gorman. I showed her the trailer. I've been pumped up for this fucking movie forever.
Have you seen it?
No. She's like, oh yeah, I watched it. You fucking bitch. Like, know this movie means to me.
Oh man. I'm sorry. You got to get on the Discord thing. I can't explain to you how to do it. It's actually pretty easy. I'm not the most tech savvy person, but
I watched them do the Discord thing, and I'm like, oh man, that's one more app I'm not going to learn how to use.
It's actually really easy, and also it would behoove all of you guys to do the Discord thing, because one of the things I set up a Horror Vision Discord server, which eventually will factor. Like, I got a Patreon for us. And one of the packages, the tiers, will involve the Discord thing and like people being able to come on and talk to us. I don't know what the rights of as far as like doing a group watch on that would be. So I don't want to say we're going to do that. We might. Anthony, what else have you seen?
The Synchronic movie.
What'd you think?
I wouldn't say I was let down by it, but it was very safe. I felt the storyline was very safe, and getting involved with who they got involved with, that led them down other alleys, just seemed like a safe venture. There was some decent practical effect moments in it. There was a lot of bad CGI moments. Mm-hmm. But overall, I'm still a fan of the directors and would like to see them return to form as far as like doing more obscure stuff. And actually, I was really looking forward to them returning to the endless content, because that was the big hype around the film, was that, the next movie is going to be about somebody who escaped, the time loops, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I was really looking forward to that story. Not that this one was bad. It just kind of wasn't what I was expecting. It hit a little bit different. And now these guys are getting involved with Marvel and all this other stuff. Oh yeah,
Moon Knight. Oh.
Yeah. So it just seemed like a safe bet to me to get them to the next, to where they're going next. And that's fine. But, it's me being, 13 and no one's ever going to like the Deftones like I do because they're my band. And now I didn't hate the movie. Like I said, it's enjoyable. Go out, check it out, support them. I love those guys, but
they got that Disney money, baby.
They got that Disney money. But I mean, you go back and you watch Spring and The Endless, and I'm sorry, those are just far superior films to this one.
Spring is great. Spring. Agreed. Oh my God. And that whole storyline I thought was so unique and cool.
Fucking beautiful.
It was. That was like a beautiful fucking gross love story. Mm-hmm. I highly recommend Spring. I like that movie. It made you wait. It made you be patient, but it was worth it.
Yeah. No, I love Benson and Moorhead. I love their work. I'm always looking forward to new things that they do, but I just felt this film was a little too safe.
I read it as a sci-fi flick, and I love that they took that, because it still ties into The Endless and Resolution, which I still think is their best movie, or at least my favorite. But it still does, it continues that story. It's just not that story that we thought we were going to get with the person that escapes from the loop. And it's probably because they found a way to work with Anthony Mackie and Jamie Dornan, which now has given them, maybe that's what got them the window into handling some of the Moon Knight episodes, which is great, because then they seem like the kind of guys that'll do that and then turn around and crank out something more in line with what we're used to from them, and then go back and, I see them getting big. I really do. So, hopefully they'll be able to kind of balance that.
Just stay to your roots, you guys.
Yeah.
Don't let the Disney money cloud you.
Definitely.
I was going to cloud them. Oh man. So just throwing a question real quick. Okay, yeah. Since you're saying The Endless is not really horror, it's more sci-fi.
No. I'm saying the new one, Synchronic is sci-fi. Yeah.
Okay. Time Crimes, horror or sci-fi? Or both?
I think it's horror sci-fi.
Okay.
Both.
Yeah. Same with Endless. I think Endless and Resolution are both horror sci-fi. I mean, Resolution, the sci-fi is hidden below the veneer of the movie, but it's definitely there. But yeah, they're definitely horror.
Like with The Endless, I mean, you imagine you're trapped in a time loop, and the only option you have is like that poor bastard that's in like a 10-second loop. I have to kill myself in 10 seconds, or this thing's gonna come get me, and it's gonna be 10 times worse.
Yeah. Or shitty Carl.
Horrible.
Yeah. I love shitty Carl.
Who's up next?
So last night I watched 2010's Blood Junkie from Trauma. It was directed by a dude named Drew Rosas. Drew Rosas did Billy Club. I don't know if anybody's seen that. 2013. It's cool. Like, Anthony, did you watch Billy Club?
I have not.
Okay. That's fun little slasher. So this is a Trauma movie. It came out before, like 3 years before Billy Club. $6,000 budget.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So pretty much the plot, very basic. High school senior Laura, she has to babysit her little brother for the weekend, of course. And at the same time, her best friend invites her to go camping with two dudes. She takes her little brother with her, of course. Havoc ensues for the weekend. Again, it's nothing new. It's the basic story slasher. You got your tropes of teenage sex, drinking, smoking. But this, you guys, $6,000 budget. It was shot in Wisconsin in the woods. Part of it was shot in an abandoned glue factory. You don't need any fucking sets. It was great. It was creepy. It was great. I love it when, especially you could take a small budget and just run with it and make something fun. I mean, obviously it has its little issues, but it was a lot of fun. I really recommend it. It had some pretty good practical effects. Again, the director knew what he was working with, so he was really smart about doing pretty dark shots. I don't know. It was great. I really recommend it. I don't want to give anything away. Yeah, it was fun. Like, it was great just to see someone do that with such a little amount of money. The opening scene was pretty creepy too. A little bit of a jump scare, but it was really effective. Again, having a small budget, but knowing where to cut and where to edit and knowing what you're working with, it was great. It was a tiny bit tongue in cheek. It's supposed to be taking place in the late 80s. Clothes match the era. Like, it was, you could tell these people went to like little tiny vintage stores in the middle of nowhere, got this old time capsule clothing. Whatever houses they were using to film was all like stylized 80s. It was nuts.
Huh.
I really appreciate it. And I liked all the little details. So thank you, Drew.
That sounds really cool. I'd never even heard of that before, either one of those. What did you watch it on?
So I have the DVD for Blood Junkie. Okay. And Billy Club, I think I streamed it maybe on Amazon like a year ago. Okay. Again, he's not reinventing the wheel. Billy Club is like a back from the grave revenge story.
Okay.
About a little leaguer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Little League guys, we're doing that. Blood Junkie, though, had a great shot. So, you know how in most movies you have the newspaper to explain like the storyline or newspapers printed. Well, obviously they have no money. So this guy got different newspapers because they're all different type. You could tell they're different ages. And he fucking spliced it together to put the story. And it was great. Yeah, it's cheap. You explained your whole story to the audience or the backstory. I was like, that it was super effective. Like, I really took my hat off for their creativity.
Nice. I love seeing that. I love when people make, as soon as you said $6,000 budget, just the fact that we're talking, like, and you're talking about it, I knew it was going to be one of those where it's like, I love seeing this, like somebody that knew the limitations they had and really, that drew the best out of them.
Oh yeah. And it wasn't, and even sometimes with these smaller budgets, you can tell like, oh, this looks like a student film. Like, even though it's great, you could tell it to me, it looked a little bit more on the higher end side of having that low of a budget. Like, they did some they did some practicals that I thought were pretty ballsy.
Nice.
That, that are out there where you're like, you could, pick it apart. They went for it and it worked. Like, I tip my hat off to them, and there's only like a cast of 4 or 5 people, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, I really recommend it, guys. It really had a lot of tongue in cheek in it too. Like, it knew what it was, but it was still scary when it had to be.
Well, I just checked, and Billy Club is on Prime for streaming, and Blood Junkie is available for rent on Vudu.
Okay.
I think it's the only thing it might be available on. Looks like. But the other one is Billy Club is also available as a free on Vudu as well. So
Nice.
I love the poster for Billy Club. I thought it was so cool. Just how menacing it looks.
Ray, what do you got?
I saw Sisters, the De Palma film.
Oh,
Brian De
how is it?
On HBO Max. I liked it. It's kind of it is horror, but it's horror in like the vein of like the original Psycho. Because it has a real psychological tinge to it, and it has like it has a twist that it kind of gives away about halfway through, but then there's more as it continues to build. I remember hearing about it because it famously has the dual frames where it kind of like in
Oh yeah. So two things are happening at once.
yeah, in Kill Bill. But the thing is, in Kill Bill, like it's not distracting because it's just her in the bed, and then it's Elle walking down the hallway. Whereas in this, it's a little bit hard to keep track of. But I think that's kind of the point. Like I remember watching it, and like there's a scene where you want to pay it's split into a dual screen, but you want to pay attention to what's happening in both. But it's kind of impossible to do that. Like you focus on one, and I end up doing this thing where I was watching it and I realized like, oh my God, I completely forgot to keep track of the other frame. And so I went back and rewatched it and just focused on that. But I imagine that sitting in a theater, you wouldn't have been able to do it. And so I felt like that was maybe kind of the point. Like you forget to keep track. And so you focus on one that you feel is important. And then when it goes back, you're like, wait, how did they pull? Like, what happened? I missed that. But I feel like that was kind of the point. But I liked it. I mean, it's an interesting. It was an interesting film. It's with Margot Kidder, and like I remember Margot Kidder from like the Superman movies when I was a kid. But what I found interesting was it goes, I think it's like 72 is when the movie came out. And the movie starts and she's playing this young model. And I never considered like Margot Kidder that attractive. But when she was younger, she definitely looked different. And
Black Christmas.
Yeah, she was smoking in that one.
That's a good call. I forgot about that. But so she plays this French Canadian model. And she meets this man and takes him home, and they have a little sexual encounter. And then the next morning, he gets killed. He gets murdered in her apartment, and she has to try and cover it up. And this woman, this reporter, this newspaper reporter, sees what happened across the way. So she calls the police. And the police kind of don't believe her because she's written op-eds about the police. So she's not their friend at all.
Oh.
So they kind of distrust her and just think she's trying to fish for a story. And it just builds from there where like you see her struggling to try and get someone to believe her story. But then you're also kind of trying to figure out what's going on with Margot Kidder and like how she's connected to the murder. I don't want to go into that without spoiling anything, but I thought it was pretty good. It's definitely interesting. And like, you can see De Palma building to like the director he becomes, you know what I mean?
Definitely. That's awesome. So that's on Max? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's on HBO Max. Yeah. There's some good stuff on there. It's worth checking out. Like they've also got like the Japanese House movie that I love.
Oh, that movie's nuts.
So,
God damn.
Yeah.
Well, I rewatched. I guess I don't think I've seen this since opening weekend in the theater. Kirsten had never seen it, so we watched, and they're all on Max. And I saw it. I'm like, you know what? Let's revisit the first one at least. I watched the first Saw movie again.
I knew it.
And so these movies, so first of all, just right off the bat, my reaction to it now is very similar to that. The first thing I can say, Carrie Elwes and Danny Glover just suck. They definitely like didn't try to stretch them. I mean, they're just not good. Michael Emerson, who I really like, who people will know from now, he's in Evil as Leland Townsend, and he's great. And he was Ben on Lost, arguably the best character on that show. And then just like Shawnee Smith is great, the little bit that she's in it. But really, the thing about the first Saw, well, and here's the other, I didn't realize this. So Carrie Elwes wakes up and, you know, everybody knows the setup. He wakes up in this room chained to a thing with another guy. The other guy is Lee Winnell, who directed The Invisible Woman and Upgrade and, you know, and wrote the original Saw.
Yeah. And Insidious.
Yeah. And wait, did he direct Insidious? I didn't realize that. Or I might have known. I mean, I get a lot of those movies, you know, it's like.
Lee wrote Insidious.
Okay. A lot of those guys in that camp work on each other's movies, so it's sometimes I don't know who wrote it or directed or produced or whatever. But yeah, you know what? It's one of those movies where there were so many sequels, and it's kind of like the band that like you liked at first, and then you see the people that go to their concerts, and it makes you like them a little bit less. You know, so it's kind of like that, but I mean, if you can remove yourself from all that baggage and prejudice, it's not amazing, but it's pretty fucking good, man. And I'll tell you what, I'll take that over almost any Friday the 13th, any fucking day of the week, because it's clever. And like, I've never been able to make it past the third one because of the acting just gets so bad. And by the third one, I'm just like, oh my God, but I'm interested enough in the weird intricacies of the way they plot these things out and all the weird like turns and like, you know, you go back and see the same thing, but from a different angle, you know, and you're like, oh, the sixth movie shines new light on something you kind of disregarded in the second one or whatever. So I really appreciate the writing because it's really well thought out. I love the imagery of the first one. I mean, the pig mask, the fucking doll on the bike, the room that they're in. And obviously that kind of like spent industrial slum look, like after Saw, every fucking movie for, 5 years had that look. So
they had budget too. I think.
Yeah, no budget.
Like a $2 million budget, if that.
Yeah.
And what's fun is when they did Insidious, they even had half of that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So again, like no matter how you feel about the first Saw, like you have to tip your hat off for going that far with the budget.
Yeah. And it's so a couple years ago, well, more than a couple now, probably 10 years ago, I reread Watchmen for the first time in a while since seeing Saw, and I realized the concept had to come from Watchmen because the movie alters it, and it's the one thing in the movie that Watchmen that really bothers me because Rorschach has a guy whose ankle is handcuffed or chained to a radiator, and in the movie he kills him. But in the comic, the guy's like, "How do I get out of here?" And he tosses him a saw, and he says, like, "You'll figure it out." Basically, like, you can stay here and rot, or you can saw your leg off. And when I read that, I'm like, Lee Winnell had to have read this and been like, that'd be a great idea for a movie. So that's kind of interesting to trace that possibly back to Alan Moore, some like small little gag in Watchmen. But yeah, it's solid. I like it. Anthony, what do you got?
Two more. I'm just going to touch on one really briefly, and then I'll go into the next one.
Yeah.
I watched Possessor recently. I enjoyed it. It was fun. There were some wieners. It was cool.
There's full frontal?
Yeah, there's some dong.
Yeah, but not on the person that you would think.
On the woman,
Yeah.
huh? Okay.
Well, it was like a forehead piece. So it was wait, same movie?
No, I'm talking about the scene where the forehead piece. You're thinking of a Guar video.
What?
I'm like,
No, it was
what part of the
fun.
movie did you see?
The uncut. Get it?
I-
It's uncut? No.
Nice.
No, it was cool. I had a good time with it. Very gory, very, very flashy, solid acting, minimal cast actually. They kept it pretty tight as far as that goes. I dug it. Obviously the violence in it is, that's the centerpiece. And then, just the blah, blah, blah. I mean, everybody's seen this one already. I'm glad that this guy's getting more work. I take that back because it's 10 years between.
No,
films?
8. I think it was 8. He said it took him 8 years to make this. He talked about it in an interview I heard recently. And
so I'd like to see him. Yeah, I'd like to see him get back in the saddle and do something sooner than later.
Yeah.
And we'll see how that goes. Possessor, good. Yeah, enjoyed it. Last night I watched a film from 2020 called Becky. Not a horror film, but just another one that's like ultra violent. The way I break it down is it's a home invasion film. These Nazis there's one of them, but there's a group of Nazis. They escape from jail. They go do a home invasion, and they pick the fucking family that has like a 13-year-old girl who acts like Rambo and picks them off one by one in the most gruesome fucking fashion she can possibly come up with. And the majority of it's all practical, and it's nasty as fuck and super fun. I recommend it.
Nice.
And
Oh, with Kevin James.
Yeah.
Kevin James as the lead Nazi skinhead. It's pretty. And
Shut
he's
the
not.
fuck up.
It's so weird to watch him play like a straight thing, like straight laced or a straight like tough guy character. It's weird.
Paul Blart Nazi.
Nice.
Yeah, all that. It's but it's cool. It's a cool little flick. Like I said, lots of practical gore in there. Just a lot of shocking scenes that you would not expect to be pulled off by a child.
Right.
But very, very fun, very effective. And just, downright nasty at times when you see the kind of shit that gets pulled off in this movie. It's gross and highly entertaining. So, I mean, if that's up your alley, then fucking ride that Hershey Highway.
Oh my God.
So what you're saying is it's Home Alone with Nazis.
No, I'm not going to say that. I've heard that before, but it's not. It's totally not. I would say Rambo. Yeah, Kid Rambo.
Ooh, son of Rambo, huh?
Right.
Possessor, horror, sci-fi, both. Foot and both.
Combination. It's a combo.
Combo. Okay. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm just curious.
It's on Hulu now, by the way. I just noticed that. It's on Hulu.
Well, it's Cronenberg's son, right? It kind of follows in that footsteps, like that. It rides its line very firmly.
Yeah, get your dong on.
Just kidding.
I don't have anything else. So, and we should wrap soon, but I want to give Tori and Ray. So what else you got, Tori?
Well, not horror, but I binge watched all of American Gods. I really, really dig it. I love Ian McShane. Oh
yeah, he's great in everything.
He is. Whoever fucking capped his teeth recently, though, needs to be shot. But that's besides the point. Really, really good if you're into like mythology, any kind of dark fantasy. I highly recommend it. Otherwise, horror-wise, I've been just rewatching a lot of shit, not focusing so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a crazy month, but yeah, American Gods. It's fucking super violent. It's by the guy that did the Hannibal show.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Fuller, I believe. Brian Fuller and someone else. They did the first season, which was super dark. It changes up again in the second. The third is it's been okay, but really just watch the first and second season. I can't recommend it enough. I don't want to give anything else away.
Right on.
Raymond?
I rewatched Rawhead Rex because it's on Shudder, and it's good, but it's also terrible. Like as I said to one of our as I pointed out to one of our listeners on Facebook, Eduardo. One of the things that bothers you, I think, when you watch the movie is the fact that this creature has these huge teeth and he goes to biting at people or ripping them apart, and there's like hardly any blood or there's no like blood spurting. There's no like things getting ripped off. And you're like, how those huge teeth? And like, I'm not seeing a blood spurting out of the neck. I'm not seeing a huge wound. There's no like intestines coming out of stomachs when he goes to bite them. But you know, it's all right.
How dare you?
Another instance where the book is definitely better.
That's what I've heard.
Based on a Clive Barker
book.
short story, right?
Not even a fucking book, like a
30 pages.
story.
Novel.
Sure.
Sorry. But one of the things that I did want to talk about, because I just saw this recently and it was on Arrow, and I told you about it, Shawn, is Dream Demon.
Just got that. Yeah.
I just happened to, I have that Arrow service, so I was checking it out one night and I was trying to find something to watch, and I'm just looking around, and I happened upon like the great poster and this, and I turned the movie on, and I was really surprised and like very pleasantly surprised. Like it was made in 1988. It's only an hour 29, but I really liked it. It's about this woman, and she's this English woman named Diane, and she's about to get married, and she's marrying some guy who's like a minor royal. And so she's got a couple paparazzos following her around, and she starts having these dreams, and she's having terrible dreams, and she thinks it might just be the stress of the wedding. And it's these dreams where like terrible things happen, and like demonic versions of people that are in her waking life are there, but they're getting progressively worse. And she's being followed by these paparazzos, and then this woman named Jenny comes along and helps her one day to get like rid of a couple of them. And she finds out that this woman has come to her apartment building, just so happened, because she grew up in the house that is now like this flat, like where all these apartments are. And she has found out that she was adopted, and so she doesn't remember her life in England, and has come to find out more. And as the movie progresses, you find out that there's a tie between this woman and her past, and the house and the dreams this poor woman's having. But I thought the acting was awesome, and the effects were pretty good. I mean, obviously it looked like it had a really low budget. I didn't check to see what the budget was, but it's effective. And like one of the things that it does is that it has those effects from the early 90s where, like, for example, there's a demon in one of the dreams, and it not only has like a wound on its ear that has been chopped off, but it also has like these festering wounds on the face that get worse, and they'll start to have like this yellow oozy stuff coming out that just like that very 90s quality of gore where it looks very goopy and gross. So it definitely has a very gross, goopy quality to it as it progresses. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was totally worth a watch. It's worth checking out. And you know, I think the Arrow service is something that's worth checking out. Like if you're not like Anthony and constantly buying DVDs, it's got some stuff on there that's worth it, and it also has some stuff that are kind of misses. But you know, it's not bad.
It's a little gamble.
Is the what? Sorry, Tori. What?
Oh no, that's just the gamble, you know, with those services.
Yeah,
totally.
How does that work with them? So what does it does it cost them like a certain amount a month, or
it's like $5 a month?
Oh,
and it's obviously not everything that they have rights to distribute.
No,
it's probably just some.
No, it's not everything. It's got like they do tend to change up what they have on there, and you're going to see repeats of stuff on other services. Like it's got Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, which is on a lot of things. But like it has that I think you can only, like you can rent it other places, but they have it for streaming. It's got something called the El Duce tapes, which I haven't had a chance to watch. It's got a movie called Blood Tide, which I just watched the other day, which was okay. Like I said, it's very like, you know, there's some things like like Edge of the Axe is on there, which is an interesting little slasher from the late 80s. But it's worth checking out. Like, it's got some different stuff on there. So
All right.
just another service that has horror available, and it's mostly horror. It's mostly horror or horror adjacent. So
That's cool. Well, all right. I know you have more, but maybe save them and we'll do another one soon. Yeah, I mean, we're just over a month into 2021, and there's already a bunch of stuff coming out or announced, and so I don't know. I feel like 2020 was just an immaculate year for horror, so I'm hoping that continues. I don't mean real life horror. 2020 was loaded with that as well. I hopefully we can swap that off and, like, you know, just let's ease back on the real life horror and get, you know, some really great releases going. So, but we will be here, faithful listener, to tell you what is worth watching and what you should probably not bother to watch. So, for the Horror Vision Horror Podcast, I'm Shawn.
I'm Tori.
all right, I'm Ray.
And I'm still Willie the Pimp.
Nice. Great song. I actually saw David Yao from the Jesus Lizard sing Willie the Pimp once at the Echo with the band Quee playing them. It was fantastic. It was really good. It's a great song. Anyway, okay. Well, guys, take care, and I will talk to all of you soon. The little bit that she's on screen, she's pretty good. She definitely outshines fucking Carrie Elwood. I'm coming. Like, oh God, he's so bad.
I can't look at that poor guy without automatically thinking about you and your hatred for him.
He's just terrible. I mean, I went back like years after watching Saw and like rewatched The Princess Bride.